We're here with Jeff Hourigan, our preview of position players going into the 2019 season. 9 days to go here for the Huskies. Coach, you know, it was just a couple of years ago you had to throw PJ Poulin out there to play outfield, so you just you had so many injuries and didn't have the depth. Talk about the depth of this team and the versatility. It seems like there's a lot of guys that can play multiple positions.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just a few years ago, we were putting pitchers out there, and not that they weren't bad at it. PJ was a great athlete, probably one of our best outfielders. But it is nice to have guys that can just specialize and get themselves better from a defensive and offensive standpoint. The depth this year is there's a lot of guys to choose from. There's a lot of competition, which is great, but it also makes a lot of tough decisions for the coaching staff. But knowing that we have those options, you know, you love that, because you never know what can happen to a player. A guy can sprain his ankle, a guy can come down, you know, pretty sick, and we have some option to move guys around. So having a lot of depth, I think, is going to really help us. When we won things in 2016, when we won the American, we had some really solid bench players that we were able to put in different places. In 2017, we started to add more depth, 18 more depth, and I think by now, I think there's so many different options for us, and it's only going to help us achieve our goals.
Can you talk a little bit about the offense and scoring runs? You lose a guy like Feldstein at 14 homers. You lose a guy like Susi and Stefanski that had huge years. How are you guys going to score runs? It seems like you have a very athletic group.
Yeah, I think a couple things that we really stress with our offense is we want to be tough, we want to be consistent. Okay, and if we can do those things, if we can consistently put tough at-bats together throughout the course of the game, that's going to give us the best chance to score runs. There's times throughout this preseason that I've seen some great things with our guys, but we go away for stretches. And, you know, that's something that we just try to preach. With the added depth, another thing that we really focus on is being a balanced offense, having a balanced attack. We don't want to be one-dimensional, and I think we have plenty of speed. We have guys that can drive the baseball. We have good hitters that can then put tough at-bats together. We have guys that can move runners over, and if you have a balanced offense, I feel like you can go up against any type of opponent. All right, you can have a chance to win all different types of fights. So I think as long as we're able to do that, I think we can be very successful. There's going to be some days where, you know, we're going to out-hit you. There's going to be some days where the pitcher's, he's got our number, and we're going to have to get a guy over, and we're going to have to maybe, you know, squeeze a guy in. But we want to be able to win in a variety of ways, because we understand that our opponents, we have a really tough schedule. We understand that we're going to be neutralized at times, and having speed and having different ways to score runs, I think, is going to be a trademark for us this year.
I mean, it's easier said than done, but we've always talked about, me and you, we score a ton in the early innings, and you score a ton in the late, and it's kind of like the third through the sixth, sometimes the offense goes away.
Sure.
How do you change that? Is there a way to try and teach the guys, all right, we need to have this focus in the middle innings, or what?
Yeah, no, it is. You know, they are 18 to 22-year-old kids, and you know, being able to make adjustments. It's our news phrase this year. We talk about choosing to win. You know, we come out with a great initial plan. You know, whether we have video on a pitcher, whether we have a scouting report, and, you know, sometimes we're able to execute right away. But I think what our guys need to realize, there's competitors on the other side, and when you hit them, they're going to make an adjustment. Okay, and it's all about us staying one step ahead. And sometimes we're not able to do that. You know, we hit them right away. Well, they go to plan B, whether it's maybe throwing more breaking balls for a first pitch strike or starting to pound us in. We have to adjust. We have to choose to win a little bit quicker. We have to continue to follow the game and see, all right, now they're starting to attack us this way. We got to make a quick adjustment right here. Okay, and it's a little phrase we use too. We have to have quick celebrations. You come out, you score 4 runs in the first inning, everyone's happy, right? We're jacked up, we're like, okay, we're going to have a really good day, but we have to continue to watch. You know, you have that quick celebration, you lock right back in, you got to see what that pitcher's doing, you got to see what type of adjustments he's making, so we can stay one step ahead and we can have those consistent at-bats throughout the course of a game. So I think it's a not an easy thing to do. You know, it's the fine balance between sometimes you got to tip your cap to a guy making pitches, but then you also got to hold yourself accountable and just say, yeah, we can be better. We can be better all throughout the game. Whether it's we don't get off to a good start and we make that adjustment in the middle innings, or like you said, we start off hot and then we finish strong. We got to get in that middle ground a little bit more this year.
We'll start out in the outfield and a guy that I know all of us thought wouldn't be back this year.
Yeah.
And you get your senior captain, John Toppa. Seems like he has a great attitude in terms of the disappointment of the draft, but is ready to lead this team. Can you talk a little bit about his offseason? Was going to go to the Cape, decided against it to work on his swing, what you've seen throughout the fall and him developing that swing.
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, you know, John, you know, a 4-year guy, and I love working with him. You know, he came here as a great athlete, a great competitor. Needed to just iron out his swing, but from a competitive standpoint, he can compete at this level, even if he didn't change anything with his swing. I think for him, it's just taking that next step in his game. He's a pro player. He's a guy that can play at that next level, and if he continues to grow, you know, he has the athleticism to play at the highest level. So what we kind of decided with John was, after that season, you know, he was disappointed that he didn't get picked up, but he quickly shifted gears. You know, we had a nice talk on the phone, and you know, all he was about was getting back and getting in another position to go even farther, to get to Omaha, to do all those things that he wants for himself and for the program. So he took the summer off, and we really just focused on him, you know, changing his swing. It's a lot of all that work is done on his own. It's really just me and him having conversations, but he was his own hitting coach. He wanted to lift the ball just a little bit more, and instead of kind of just being defensive with his swing, be a little bit more aggressive. And he worked so hard at it. I mean, he came into this fall, he was a new man. I think he hit over 500 in fall ball, but more importantly, he was driving the baseball. And the timing improved, everything improved. So I'm expecting another jump from John. So we're really excited about that.
He's not returning in the outfield, but Mike Woodworth's a guy that's going to be playing center field, a natural position for him. And just talking with you and talking with him, it seems like as good as he was on the infield for you guys, he's going to be even more better in center field saving runs for you guys. Yeah,
I mean, he could be, and that's really hard to say because, I mean, we saw him make some phenomenal plays for us at second base. He is a baseball player. He's a phenomenal baseball player. You can move him around anywheres. But, you know, the thing I look at with an outfielder is just the anticipation skills. He's able to get jumps on balls that you just don't see that often. You know, we were playing one of our fall games. I think it was one of the junior colleges we played against. There was a ball hit into the gap right center, and immediately off the bat, you're thinking, okay, that's extra bases. You know, how are we going to get the ball in quickly? You know, are we going to limit this to a double instead of a triple right here? And sure enough, you know, Woody's running that thing down in stride. I mean, it's really fun to watch. So I think that's going to be huge because we've been fortunate. We had Troy Stefanski last year who did a great job in center field for us. We had guys like Jack Sundberg that played center field. You know, obviously big leaguer George Springer. So we've had some really talented outfielders out there, and I think Woody has the makings to be a great one as well. And that doesn't mean that, you know, we're not going to put him in the infield. You just never know how things unfold. But just knowing that you can put that guy in any position, it's something that's great for the team.
And what do you see with his bat? He led your team in average during conference play last year.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's a great competitor. He's an aggressive hitter. You know, he likes to swing at a lot of pitches, and that's something that he really worked on throughout the course of the season and into summer ball, just being a hair more patient. I'm never going to ask a guy to, you know, to go maybe from, you know, 15 walks to 45 walks, but if he can have just a little more patience without taking away, you know, his best trait, which is being aggressive, I think you're going to have a really good player. And he worked really hard this fall. You know, his walks went up a little bit. You know, he started swinging at balls that you know, he can hit, you know, well, as opposed to just putting it in play and using his speed. With 2 strikes, he's so scrappy. I don't know how many times last year he chopped one into the infield, and whether he beat it out or with his speed he forced the defense to just make a mistake. So offensively, he's a fun player. He can drive a ball if he has to. He could slap a ball to right. And then when he gets on the bases, you know, it's really fun to watch. You know, he has great instincts, dirt ball reads, timing up pitchers, just awesome instincts out there. You know, going first to third, just doing those little things that help you score runs. You know, everyone wishes they can just drive the ball out of the park. But that's not always going to happen, you know, and you're going to need a guy to get a dirt ball read. You're going to need a guy to see that the outfielder's being a little lazy to the ball and takes an extra base to set up an inning. And Woody's that type of player for us.
I know there's a lot of options to replace a guy like Isaac Feldstein in right field, but let's just talk about a couple of them. Anthony Nucerino, who we saw glimpses of last year out there, and then intriguing Michael Chiavitti, who, you know, a guy that went to ECU, then UConn Avery Point. Watching him in the fall, he seems like a guy that just racks up his hits. We'll start with Anthony Nucerino. You know, Ant showed us some really good things last year. You know, it was... He's a strong, a stocky, you know, great build. Looks like a running back or a fullback. Left-handed swing. He has great patience in the batter's box. You know, he's a guy that if he did hit 200, he might have a 400 on base percentage. You know, he's not going to go outside of his zone, and that's great. You know, sometimes your offense needs that. They need a guy to have some patience, slam on the brakes, slow things down, and Anthony can do that. He struggled a little bit this fall. He had a little shoulder issue, and I think that affected him offensively just because he could only DH. You know, he is a high-energy guy, and I don't think he really knew how to deal with it. I think it's just tough. It was tough for him. So he worked really hard on his swing, post-fall ball. He did a lot of work on his own in the winter time, and then this preseason, he's been awesome. He's been hitting the ball the other way. He's been turning on some balls when he has to, and then we talked about those walks. I think right now in 30-something at-bats, he has 9 walks to 3 strikeouts. So he's doing something that can keep the line moving in an offense. Whether he's going to play every day, that's up to him. That's up to how everything else unfolds. But he is going to be right in the mix, and he's going to be a nice piece to our offense. And defensively, he can really go get it in the outfield. Mike Chiavitti, a junior college guy, had a lot of success at UConn Avery Point, a program that, you know, that's really big for our program. I think he hit close to 400 last year for them. He has some power. He is a very good outfielder. I mean, you could put him in left, you could put him in center, you could put him in right. He gets great reads on the ball. He's technically sound. He has a good arm, a good accurate arm. You know, and like Woody, I really like his instincts out there. And then at the plate, a left-handed stick that like I said, he has a little bit of juice, so he can hurt you that way. We're trying to get his bunting game to come along to give him a few more options up there. Because, you know, you see that higher level of pitching, there's going to be times where we need him to use his speed. Or he's going to need that. You know, if he's struggling a little bit, a bump for hit can get himself going. But Mike's going to really add some nice things to our offense and defense.